So I'd said I was going to do a review of the Analogue Pocket, so that is exactly what I'm doing now. Now you may be asking, what is the Analogue Pocket? The Analogue Pocket is a handheld gaming system made by, of course, Analogue, who recently put out the Analogue 3D, which is a redo of the N64. But the Analogue Pocket is a handheld gaming system with built-in compatibility with Game Boy Color, and Game Boy Advance cartridges. With a set of adapters, this can be increased to include the Game Gear, Atari Lynx, Neo Geo Pocket, and TurboGrafx 16 or PC Engine Who cards. For sickos like myself that prefer hardware, that's great news. For those happy with ROMs, etc., there's still plenty here for you, to say the least. So first of all, just a basic description of the console itself. It is, it looks much like a Game Boy. It's bigger. It's got a very, very big screen for its size. Four face buttons: D-pad, start, select, and then an analog button which brings up the OS menu. OS menu is very basic, does its job, nothing pretty to talk about. So let's start with the pros of the console. Pros, it's got a massive library. Not just because of the games it can run with the adapters, the physical games, but because it does, although this wasn't true at launch, it does have open FPGA compatibility, so you can load up other cores. So there's a huge variety of systems you can run on it, and it is beefy enough to handle many of those systems. So it is a pretty serious machine in that respect. It also has compatibility with GB Studio games. You can put out a Pocket file from GB Studio, and it can run natively on the Pocket. Depending on what core you've got loaded, it's got different visual filters that imitate different types of screen. I think they're nice. I always use a filter. They look very good. It On that note, does have a very nice screen. It's very bright, very colorful. It can really capture a lot of depth. It's a really nice screen. There is a dock add-on you can buy. You put it in the dock, you can run it up onto a monitor. Also, when it's on the dock, you can use, obviously, for usability reasons, you can use a wireless or a Bluetooth controller with the dock. So, for the TurboGrafx 16 games, that makes a lot of sense since they were initially intended to be on a television, but it's a good bonus for everybody else. So there's also a built-in synthesizer and sequencer in it so you can use it for music. I don't know the details on that. I don't do any sort of music, but that is a feature in the console and might be another bullet point somebody might want to address. So that brings us to the cons. Cons, there's this one setting where it will keep the screen on while it's on the dock. Make sure you check that because I left mine on and now I have a little bit of screen burn-in because it sat on the dock for a month because I'm a moron. Anyway, just a warning, don't be stupid like me. There are no save states on the Neo Geo Pocket games. Another thing is, if you are going with hardware, it does require, as I mentioned, the adapters for any of the non-Game Boy games. And that means you have to pay for those. There are no adapters that come with the console. You have to buy those. Which gets us to the general point of this thing's pricey. It's currently going for $239.99 on Analog site. And that seems fair until you realize the dock is $99 and the adapters are $30 for the Game Gear one and then $100 for all the rest of them. So you're spending like $470 or something total to get the full experience. And you could get a Switch 2 for that. Well, now you can't. They just raised the price. Anyway, that's a console, it's a full-on game console. Now, mind you, with all those games it can play, that might be totally worth it to you. But it's worth keeping in mind it is not cheap. In addition, not everything's always in stock. For example, at the time of this video being posted, the dock is out of stock and only the Game Gear adapter is available. I looked up to see if there were secondary markets, and boy, they're going to bilk you for cash if you want to try and get something secondhand. But if you can get everything, if you are interested in these games, or if you're like me and didn't even know about any of them and just dived into a whole world of games you'd never played, it does provide an excellent experience, and I strongly recommend it if you can swallow the price. It's got an amazing breadth of games, and that's not even counting the cores, which makes it incomprehensible. But it's a great experience. It's a high quality device. I have had so much fun with it. I think you would enjoy it too, but like I said, it ain't cheap. Anyway, it's my first hardware review video. These are going to be rare because I only get hardware rarely, but hopefully this was some usable information for you. And yeah, see you out there.